Here's what's making news now around Indiana. Amtrak train service connecting Indianapolis to Chicago will be suspended effective July 1. Amtrak says the state did not agree to continue to help fund the connecting service for the Hoosier state line that connects Indianapolis and Chicago via Crawfordsville, Lafayette, Rensselaer, and Dyer. Work on the restoration of the pavilion at the Indiana Dunes State Park has started back up. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report protesters have voiced objections to the planned construction of a banquet facility at that site, among some of the other renovations. Grace College says its Aspire capital campaign has raised more than $38 million. Those funds will support upkeep and expansion of the school's programs, including a new competition-level soccer stadium and the college's first ever track and field complex. Since 2017, Grace has launched several new high-demand academic programs, including agribusiness, digital marketing, and worship arts. Well, this year's General Assembly adjourned after approving a two-year $34.6 billion budget, also addressing the most controversial piece of legislation, a hate crimes bill. The Indiana Chamber of Commerce says overall it was a good session, but lawmakers did not take action on one of the Chamber's top priorities, smoking. Indiana Chamber CEO Kevin Brinegar here now with reaction. Kevin, as always, welcome.
Gary, good to see you.
Again, as you feel, generally speaking, for business, the session was a positive one.
It was outstanding on many, many fronts. We will move jobs and economic growth forward for our state. We did things like make the venture capital tax credit transferable. We have a data center incentive bill, doubled the funding for workforce training, both for employers and employees, and put more focus on the federal funding towards high-demand, high-wage jobs, passed the bias crime legislation that was so important to Indiana's image, and much more.
Yeah, I asked about the bias crimes because there are people who certainly were positive about that, but some suggested it didn't go too far.
Yeah, it wasn't, the list of enumerated characteristics and traits was not as comprehensive as we would like, but there was, in addition to that, language that said that the judge can enhance the sentence for any crime committed based on any trait, characteristic, affiliation, etc. I've spoken to two retired Indiana Supreme Court justices who both said they believe that local judges will use that language to enhance the sentence for any crime, bias crime committed against an individual that's not in the specific list, but is in the general category.
I want to ask you about something that did not happen, that the Chamber wanted to happen, and that's legislation related to smoking. You wanted to see an increase in the cigarette tax, also an increase in the legal smoking age from 18 to 21. Neither happened.
And that we start taxing e-cigarette and vaping products, because that's rampant in our schools. That was the one area we felt like the General Assembly just completely failed. And our smoking rate has gone up while most states are going down. Our rank among the states went from 39th to 44th worst, and year over year, vaping went up 78% among teens. This is an area that must be addressed. The ball was completely dropped by the General Assembly, and it's not acceptable, and we've got to push harder next year.
And you and many others will say that smoking is a business issue.
It is a business issue. It's estimated that to cost Indiana businesses $6.2 billion a year. That's money that doesn't get spent for training, for wages and salaries, for plant and equipment modernization. It just gets flushed down the toilet. And that impact is from higher healthcare costs, lost productivity, and absenteeism caused by smoking.
Will the Chamber, will you be back again at the Statehouse, continue the fight?
Absolutely. We are a part of the Alliance for a Healthier Indiana, along with the hospital, state medical associations, Anthem, and the tobacco cessation organizations. And this is too important to quit. It is so important to our business climate, and our smoking rate is 50% higher than the national average. We've got to do something about it in the policy realm, and there are things that can and should be done that will impact that for Hoosiers.
Very quickly, we do only have about 20 seconds, but education funding, your take on that? There were people on both sides of the fence. Some who said it was great, others questioned.
I think the General Assembly did as much as they could without without raising taxes, and while still maintaining a balanced budget, a solid rainy day fund, and a AAA bond rating. But they scraped the cupboards out and put in a lot of additional money for education, recognizing that our teacher salaries and education funding have sort of been falling behind here in recent years.
All right. Kevin Brinegar from the Indiana Chamber of Commerce. As always, great perspective on the State House. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, Gary.
All right.